I'm having one of those days where I was like, how do I do this part again? Everyone who knows me knows I'm a little bit technical challenge, but hey everybody, I'm really, really excited about tonight. It's been an incredible journey into February, Love Month together, and really digging deep into the nice gal conversation, into what I like to call the anatomy of the nice girl, and really celebrating all that we are and really acknowledging what we struggle with so that we can really step forward. So today is really all about how do we ignite and really remember ourselves as worthy. So whether you're the nice girl who came into love because came into relationships and love in your life, from broken home, from, no boundaries in your home, not ability to say no, like whatever set you up maybe in childhood, or simply that in adulthood at some point you were betrayed, misled, disappointed, totally heartbroken, came out of nowhere, and that damaged your self-esteem and your sense of worth and your trust that you could just relax and be yourself and know that you are worthy of being loved. That's really what the No More Nice Gal is about women who have gotten the short end of the stick, who've been overlooked and undervalued and underappreciated, who've been taken for granted, who have been used or abused or betrayed or disappointed in such an extreme way, maybe several times if you're that nice girl. And we just lose our trust. We lose our confidence. We lose that, what other people call self-esteem, what I like to call self-worth. It also includes self-esteem and a bunch of other things that really gives you that sense of like, it is safe to be me. And not only that, who I am is rockin' amazing, and I don't have to overcompensate by giving more, doing more, being more, over-functioning to try to prove that I'm worth loving. And that's really what nice gals struggle with. And we get caught in that trap, not because that's naturally who we are, but that's just like our ego's way of saying, hey, it's really painful to go through that. I don't want to feel this bad. And, how do I fix it? How do I make sure that this never happens again? That, I come on the winning side of love. And so we do all these things to try to be more loving and more kind and more generous. So if this makes sense to you, that's kind of, my little spiel intro for what you're doing today. But let me get formal. So first of all, get comfortable. I'm going to take a few minutes to just sort of let a few more people roll onto the call today. And let me introduce myself and a little bit about why you're here and the whole bit. And I made some lovely slides for us, so I'm going to actually go to those and see if we can't get these started for you. Always takes a second here. Da, da, da. So we should be seeing this lovely 7 love-worthy steps. So that is our topic today. The 7 love-worthy steps that attract love, that create a life that you love, that make you feel good about yourself, that bring you happiness, fulfillment, that make you feel secure and allow you to invite the support and cherishing that you desire. So, by the way, this is a slight little sneak peek at the new No More Nice Gal website. Oh, it's so close to being done. I'm so excited. We had a 7-month little hiatus where we had to take a pause and come back to it, and it was just a timing issue, so I'm trusting the universe was just brilliant on that. But little sneak peek, this is just a taste of what the new No More Nice Gal website looks like, and it is oh my gosh, a labor of love that I have been wanting for about 2 years now, and I worked very hard on really getting clear about my messaging and how I could really support you and what would, really inspire all of you in the community, and for those new, welcome. So I just wanted to give you a little flavor, a little taste of what's coming there. Here's my intention. My intention is that you will feel confident, worthy, self-assured, and deserving of love, so that anything that has stopped you from feeling that way, that we can unwrite that, we can rewrite the story, and also create a different ending for you that includes your dream of love and your dream life, whatever that looks like. and really stop having heartbreak and disappointment be a part of your experience, and never want you to feel like you need to tolerate less than out of fear that you might be alone, or choose to be alone out of avoidance that you might be hurt. Okay, so either side of that spectrum. And to really help, for you to attract support and cherishing and adoration and respect and generosity from all of your relationships. So yes, from a love mate, but your friendships, your coworkers, your family, your favorite people in the whole world, like whether you've met them or not yet, they might be in the No More Nice Gal community, that you really, bring in what is going to fill your heart and heal your past pain and help you live a life that is fully inspired and fully expressed, okay? And so here's our agenda today so that you know where you're going and that you know that you're in the right place. How being too nice really blocks love. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And some of you, that's going to be really friendly review, but it's always good to hear again. Maybe you hear something a little bit different. It just reaffirms something that you might be experiencing at present. And we're going to go into, yes, the promise of the 7 love-worthy steps. So why being confident, worthy, and secure actually magnetizes you to love. And again, not just love from a love partner, but other relationships. In fact, a lot of my clients, we want to lower the fear factor. And so what I do in that case is we learn how to do it with their clients, if they're self-employed, or I have a lot of psychologists and coaches in my practice. And so, we start with it there, or we start with a safe relationship, one that isn't as high risk of, someone that might be more accepting and more generous with them, so that you really just kind of learn the skill set of what it means to really speak your truth and stand up for yourself and express your feelings in a way someone can hear you and actually feels inspired to support you. Those are all skills. And, so it's really great that, don't worry about where you're at. If you're listening to this call and you're not dating and you think, well, how is this going to, work in my life? You can learn the things that you need to learn to become more love-worthy in everything that is present in your life right now. And if you're in a relationship and you feel like you're not sure that that's the right relationship you need to be in, or you're feeling like you're drifting apart, or things are getting triggered and stirred up for you, then absolutely you'll be able to apply this to your relationship to get either clarity about and strength about whether this is worthy of you, or as you get worthy, maybe the relationship begins to transform and become more healed and more connected. And if you're dating, then perfect, right? You can apply this material right away to your dating life. So I'm also going to invite you to join my private No More Nice Gal Facebook community if you haven't. That's a really safe space where we can join together as women, inspire each other. I put lots of free little freebies every so often on there, and some interviews that I've done, and things that I actually don't put on my public No More Nice Gal Facebook page or my Love Coach page, for those of you who've come to me from the lovecoach.com. And so you'll definitely want to be a part of that. And then I'm just going to give you a sneak peek of what is coming in March, besides the website, which is coming, and also a special gift offer that I'm super excited about, which is really juicy and really amazing, and you won't want to miss that. So and the other part that we're going to do is I'm going to share the qualities of a worthy woman. So you're going to want to stay till the very, very end, because I'm going to go into how a worthy woman acts and behaves and is, so that there's a template that can really start to inspire you so that you can find yourself. Because here's the thing, we're all nice girls on this call, but we're all different, and we all have different flavors and mixes. And one of the cool things you'll get in the new website is, but it's actually coming a little bit later, so probably near the end of March, we're developing a really cool quiz where you can find out your nice girl type. And in those types is, different ways of reacting or responding to things, and different gifts and different ways of moving into your femininity, different ways of expressing who you are, different ways of showing up in relationship. And so please know that when I talk about the worthy woman and the feminine woman, I'm talking about your authentic version of that. So don't feel like, well, I'm shy. Do I have to become an extrovert, or, you know, I'm a strong woman and I'm very accomplishment driven. Do I have to like be, you know, super doughy and soft and, you know, act like I totally am not independent or, you know, feel like I need a man every second? No, of course not. So there's, I just really want to like take a deep breath and really realize that I'm about honoring your gifts, your uniqueness, and really helping you find an authentic expression, because nice girls have been too nice because they've been wounded. And in that wound, we've covered over who we are because we're actually afraid to be seen. And so becoming a fully worthy woman is allowing yourself to be fully seen. And that's a very scary thing when that exposure can create so many vulnerabilities and so much fear and so much potential for rejection. And so there's a lot of ways that I'm going to present this in terms of you really, yes, you're going to have to be vulnerable to open up. Yes, you're going to have to risk those things, but how do you do that with the right people at the right time in the right way? And how do you allow yourself in very safe situations to really open to the woman who's been covered over and masked and suppressed, so that you can breathe free and be yourself? Because the only way that you can attract real love is if a man sees who you really are. That's how you create a heart-to-heart connection with somebody else. And that's the relationship that is going to last long term. I mean, that's the soulmate dream. That's the, you know, the person who I love and accept you just the way you are. There, you know, just being you fills me up. Just, you know, by you being you, by virtue of that, I feel like I'm a better person, and you feel like you're a better person. There's more happiness and fulfillment having been together. So that's the whole point of all this. So here's my thing. I'm here to serve and support you. I want to inspire you to embrace your most irresistible, confident, and worthy self. And so, you know, hope you're comfy, kick up your feet, relax, open your heart, close everything else down, so you can just really be present to what it is you're going to take from today. Because you don't have to take it all. You have to take the piece that is really like hits you in your heart and opens up your mind and gives you that aha, or that breakthrough, or that, oh, that's what I've been missing, or oh, that's what that is, or oh, wow, look at the possibility of that, to really open up to it. And by the way, I also forgot to mention we will have some Q&A at the end, and we're going to have to use a chat box. I know it's a little clunky, and I do have it open today, so we're just in the comment area in Google so that I can answer any questions that come up for you guys as well. So just want to let you know that as well. Really quickly, if you don't know who I am, I'm Mary Jane Kaftine. I'm the Nice Gal love and dating coach, and I always say this, and it's so true. I'm not the expert who did everything right. I am the girl who did everything wrong, and it led me to what was right. It led me to the path of, you know, it's like make the light bulb 300 and how many ever times that, you know, he did that in order to find the light bulb that would actually finally work. And I'm really excited about what it means to be on the other side of feeling, for years, feeling unlovable and feeling like I was different and I was too sensitive. I heard that a lot. I'd be a millionaire for how many times I used to hear how sensitive I used to be. And I always felt like that, you know, that I was different, but not in a good way. And so it's really great to be in a community of nice girls where it's okay to be nice and sweet and empathic and open-hearted and loving, and highly, you know, highly intelligent as well. These group of ladies, and including you. And so what I love about being a nice girl is how sweet and open, empathic and loving and big-hearted we are. And I want you to keep your big heart without the heartbreak. Okay, so if you're anything like me, you understand that. Now, if you're on this call, it's for probably one or more of the reasons I'm going to share with you now, which is too much heartache and betrayal and disappointment has happened to you. I always say nice girls experience more heartache than any other group before, and it's because we do wear our heart on our sleeves, and when we feel deeply. You know, like I remember when I, you know, in my early 20s, if I kissed a boy, I was like in love with him, right? Like, you know, it was a big deal to do that, and it was really, you know, I felt very, very fully invested in somebody when I opened myself to them. So, and maybe, you know, you've had so much of that, you're tempted to give up, or you just feel worn out and exhausted. Maybe you're on this call because you keep attracting the wrong men and you don't know why. And so quite a few of my nice girls say, you know, the guys that I really like are not interested in me, and the guys that I'm, you know, that are totally crazy about me, I'm not even interested in. Now that's an affliction that every girl can, or every woman can experience and attest to at some point. But yeah, nice girls tend to have signs on their forehead, where our pattern is kind of visible, and men are very intuitive. Even if they don't know, what they're intuiting, they'll just get a sense of something. And so maybe we're attracting in our pattern. And so we're getting stuck in that rut, and that's all that's being drawn to us. And we're just like, is this all there is? There's got to be more than this, or, this is crap. And that's when we start to think that there are no good men out there. Maybe you're on this call because, everyone can't understand why you're single, and neither can you. I mean, after all, you're amazing. And as a nice girl, you have so many things that you give and that you offer and that you present to a man. Why isn't that being valued? Why isn't that being seen? And you're kind of puzzled by that. Some of being single is, like, there is a timing, and I know it's not popular for love coaches to talk about that, but there's truth to that. There is a timing around love, but our job is to be so ready for love, so present, so able in our experience of it, that when love comes, we don't cower from it. We're not afraid of it. We don't mess it up by our past or insecurities coming up, or other things distracting us from being able to be fully present to love. And so our job is to just really be ready for love. And then, when you are, there is an ease to that. And so then when there's a waiting period, it's not so bad. And I will be sharing a success story around that, one of my favorites, she always gives me really great photos of them. So I love hearing, as their love story continues to evolve, and I'll share that with you today. Maybe you feel a lot of pressure because of that, being single. Maybe that pressure looks like your ticking clock. I had that one, right? And so, you feel like maybe time is running out, or you're just watching everyone else around you get married, and you're wondering, like, when's it going to be my turn, right? When we want something, it's hard to wait, and we feel that yearning and that longing, and it's okay to yearn and to long. It doesn't make something wrong with you that you feel that. And so some of it is knowing how we can wait if there's a timing issue, but also how we use that time to really make sure that we are loving ourselves, loving our life, living fully worthy, have all the other stuff out of the way and our baggage cleared up, so that, again, we're present for love. And here's a good one. This is really common. You feel anxious when you don't know where you stand with a man or how he feels about you. Huge. This is the uncertainty factor. Several of my nice girls, and one in particular that I'm thinking of right now, always says to me, I love the point where I'm the boyfriend, and I hate the point all the way in between there, because it's just nerve-wracking. You have no idea how this guy's, what he thinks about you, where you're at, where it's going. Are you more invested? Is he not? And here's the thing. If you've had too much heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, what happens is we stop trusting ourselves. We're filled with self-doubt. We have no idea whether, is that my intuition? Is that my fear? Is that my head? Is that someone else's advice that I internalize? Should I listen to this? Should I do that? What should I say? What should I do? Should I initiate? Should I not? And we just spin ourselves into crazy land, with our head going one direction, another, and not knowing what it is that we should do in that moment. And uncertainty for a nice girl is felt even greater. Okay. And because of that, and it's because we have that anxiety and that uncertainty, because we felt insecure and less than and not good enough or inadequate in dating and relationships. And that's because that's the message that landed when we were rejected, or we were betrayed, or we were misled, or we were abused, or we were criticized, or we were just abandoned and we didn't understand why and what happened, and we thought we were on the same page, or he led us to believe one thing and we found out it was something else. That leads to insecurity, okay? And I know that's like kind of an icky word, and I hope that you get a comfort with it more in a clinical sense, which I'll share with you a bit more in depth later. But to be insecure is to be uncertain, to not know where you stand, to be unsure of how someone else feels about you, and then therefore how you feel about yourself in relationship with them, okay? And none of us can skip that one or override that one. Even the most strong and capable women, we can sometimes get thrown and be not sure where our footing is, because the ground is unstable underneath our feet, and we're trying to find our balance and our way through that. And so try not to be too hard on yourself, and to not take that word as sort of a dirty word, but a word that is just really addressing that state of, I don't know what's happening here. And because I'm so clear that I don't want to experience that intense, horrible pain of my past, peeling myself off the floor, trying to understand what happened, when a relationship ended, or someone did something just so hurtful and so mean-spirited, that you're just like, that insecurity comes from that deep wound and that deep pain, and that's a natural reaction to have, okay? So just breathe into that and give yourself some compassion and understanding. So you might also be on this call because you don't know why, but when you like a guy, you like go into hyper mode. It's like you try really hard to prove your value, by overgiving or initiating or accommodating or pleasing or perfecting. And now some of my nice girls, it comes on like very, very strongly, this like push, this like feeling that they have to do this, and sometimes it can be very intense and very overt very quickly, very strong feeling to do that and to act in that way. And some of us, it just creeps up subtly, where we just start to notice we're doing it, and it just grows in our interaction with that person until we realize, like, whoa, wait a minute, like I am neck high and being way more invested than he is. And the more I give, the more, lazy he gets. And the more the more he leans back and kind of withdraws or isn't fully engaging, the more insecure that I feel, the more anxious I am, the more I'm trying to figure out what he's thinking and what's going on. Yeah. So you can see how it ties into the other one. I had one particular client who would, and I call it peacocking when men do, when they sort of dance around, try to get your attention. And, that happens in nature all the time. The man sort of, or like, the masculine energy is pursuing the female and trying to show his capability and his prowess and his ruffled feathers or whatever. But women would do it too. And it's just sort of like they're auditioning. She just said, I always feel like I'm auditioning, like I'm trying to be my most funny self and my greatest personality. And, all that effort just would put her in her head, and it would make her really frantic and think a lot and do a lot and try really hard. And a man would just look at that and just be like, okay, well, first of all, I feel like I'm on an interview, or this is some kind of weird thing that she's doing. And he would sense this insecurity, and it would just be an immediate turn off. And there would be no way, even if he was really impressed with her or, thought she was super hilarious and had an enjoyable time, it would just be a head-to-head connection, which, you cannot make a love connection with a man if it's your head to his head. It has to be heart to heart. That's what creates the real love connection. So, all of these behaviors that we end up doing to try to secure love as a nice girl actually hold us back, actually keep us from getting the love that we want, make us come across in ways that, or behave in ways that, feel incongruent to who we are, and make us feel more uncertain and more insecure, and more unsure of ourselves. And so today's call is really about turning that around, right? That's what the No More Nice Gal is around. And, just as I was talking about, all this stuff can make every single date or every single interaction with a man feel like an episode of Fear Factor. So you no longer trust yourself, you no longer trust men. It makes it really, really hard to relax and just be yourself and think that that's enough, because the message that you got is that you aren't enough, that you have to do more, give more, be more, overfunction, try hard, perfect yourself, all of those things in order to make sure that someone is just so, wow, look at that lady. Like, why would I ever walk away from that? And that insecurity just attracts or creates the mirror of that insecurity in relationship, which means you never know where you stand. So you're always in that dance of doing more and being more and having more. And giving more in order to secure love. And so if you weren't clear about my message or what the result that I really deliver with my clients is to make sure that you feel worthy and secure and confident, so that you never give yourself away to be loved, that you actually are so secure in yourself, so strong in that, so comfortable with having rebuilt your trust and rebuilt your confidence and your self-assuredness and all the things I've been talking about today, 7 love-worthy steps and pillars, that you have that so locked into place and so secure that a man just sees you, right? He can see you with, and that can be a vulnerable, heart-centered place that is still boundaried, and where you stand up for yourself and you never tolerate less than, and you're clear about what you want, and you can say how you feel, and you can make loving requests of what you want. You can show appreciation and not feel like you're giving away, everything, right? In order to get some cherishing back. So I'm here to support you to stop being hard on yourself, to get seriously sassy and self-loving, and end this too nice, cycle with my love-worthy system, okay? And more than finding a man, because yes, that is absolutely part of the goal. But if you're here right now and you're saying, I think I'm in the give-up place, or I've been in the love avoidant place for a while, you're more than welcome here. Don't worry. It's okay. You might need to take a breath. You might need to, gather up some of the tools, some of the support and love within this community to rebuild, right? My first focus is that you love you, and that you love a life, so that you attract and create a high deserved level relationship from that place. Because from that place of joy and happiness and connectedness to you, and the strength that living that way creates, you will attract a higher vibrational relationship. And yeah, so there we go. So like I said, feeling strong, secure, confident, and worthy is my promise. Because you naturally are a worthy, radiant, irresistible, take on the world kind of woman, and let's get her back. And yeah, so let's go there. Okay, my favorite part. Look at that. Look at those lovebirds. Oh my gosh, I start to tear up every time I look at that. Oh, I might have to take a deep breath myself. This is actually Ben and Joe just this last December. They sent me this beautiful love pic, to share with all of you, which I adore. So first of all, Jo is an amazing woman. She impressed me with her wisdom and her strength, and how spiritual and how loving she was. And, I imagine that a lot of women, looking at her would never have realized what she went through, and what her part of her love story is. And so grateful that she allowed me to share that with you, so you can be inspired. But she really came to me heartbroken and shut down after 7 years. Again, she was 7 years of just saying, like, my heart is closed. I'm going to be independent. I'm not going to allow anyone in. And it was because the man that she was with had cheated on her with her best friend. So she not only had one betrayal, she had two betrayals. One from her best friend and one from the man that she thought was the one. And, she thought she came to me saying, I don't think, Mary Jane, that I can ever trust again. I see men out there, but none of them interest me. I think maybe my list is too long. I think that there's no way that I can find a man who really gets me and wants to live the life that I want to live. And she had a really big list, right? And I mean, a concrete list, like a lot of clarity. And we got even more clear together about what that would actually look like. So together we built her faith and love, and helped her trust herself. And again, helped to discern and choose a right match for her, of what she was really, really needing and really looking for. And more than anything, to get that sense of trust in her own intuition. And this is what, this was actually before, she wrote me this testimonial before she met her partner, because we had healed the past and we'd done all this other stuff, and she knew that it would come. And this is actually, she met him shortly after, and we added the other part on the end. But she said, after reading every book and attending multiple workshops and going on endless dates for years, I thought I was destined to be alone. Mary Jane helped me identify my fears, my needs, and my expectations of a relationship, and helped clarify my vision for the man that I desired. The exercises and meditations opened my heart and broke down the barriers that I had created from my past. And with a clear intention and guidance, I was able to make the internal shifts, which ultimately attracted the man in the relationship my soul deeply craved. And I've never been happier. I'm grateful for Mary Jane and the work we did together. She's a miracle worker, which I thought was so sweet. Oh, Jo, I love you too. So now 2 years later, Jo is engaged to be married, and they're actually getting married this year. And really the only difference between you and Jo was that, she just really stepped into the change that she was willing to make. She wanted to move past her fears. She wanted to embrace all of her brilliance and know that she didn't need to dull herself in order to attract a man, that she could shine brightly, and she could attract a man who was as bright as she is and could shine a light in her and really like be that rock and be that support for her. She let herself be vulnerable and be seen, and fear of rejection and betrayal be damned. Now, that being said, we, for those of you who joined last week on the Nice Girl Vulnerabilities, if you haven't, please go back after tonight and take a gander at that. Take a look at that whole series. We padded her vulnerabilities. You know, we made sure that she could safely screen for love, that she was safe in her heart, that she was trusted. Her intuition was so strong because her head could stop spiraling out. And we just talked about all the things, like it might be why you're on the call and your head is spiraling in a million directions. You can't hear your intuition and you can't hear your heart. And those are really the things that are going to draw you to the right love partner. And so once we gave her the confidence and the competence, like the dating skills and tools that she needed, helped pad and heal that past, closed off those vulnerabilities, she dated wisely and heartache-free. And she actually, you know, went on a few dates and then met him pretty quickly. And there was no muss or fuss. Like it was very, she said it was the easiest thing that ever happened, which is great. So I'm inviting you to do the same for yourself. Now, maybe your story looks different than Joe's, but it's really about, you know, she came to me full of doubt and skepticism, you know, believing in her wish for this rare, spiritually evolved, conscious, loving man, you know, thinking that he did not exist, that they were all taken, you know, that they weren't going to, you know, accept her beautiful son as part of the package, the whole deal. And she found it, right? She found the rare gem. And maybe there's more of a, you know, you're that rare gem and there's that other rare gem like looking for you. And the only reason why it feels rare is just because you're not ready, right? And so that's why you're here today, and this is what I'm going to support you in, okay? So even if you don't yet believe that that's possible for you to have that kind of love, I just want you to borrow my belief. I want you to borrow you know, that and this is another great pic of them together, you know, that this is possible for you as well, okay? That kind of happiness and connectedness and lifelong commitment that they've made together. So it's beautiful. Okay, so let's look for a second at like what trying too hard looks like. I really want to get clear on that for you so that we set the stage for moving into the love-worthy stuff, and then I'm going to dig into that pretty quick here. Trying too hard with a man looks like trying to impress him with your accomplishments or how funny you are, or proving to him you can be a great girlfriend by anticipating fulfilling his needs, or being really super easy to be with. It can look like over-fixing and giving, or over-giving, or sorry, fixing or supporting, or otherwise doing things for him to be needed, valued, and secure in his loyalty and love for you. It can look like initiating contact, finding excuses to text him or Facebook him, or being like, oh, I got these free tickets. Do you want to come to me to the hockey game or something? Meanwhile, you might have bought them, or whatever it looks like. And here's what happened. You were misled, you were taken advantage of, you were overlooked, you were treated less than, you were betrayed, whatever, you know, fill in the blank there. And it created this belief that you could never just be loved for yourself. And that's where the nice gal stuff comes from. We got the message that we're not worth loving without over-functioning, which is that over-giving. And actually all that over-functioning and trying hard sets you up to not receive the love, cherishing, adoration, and respect that you actually deserve. And again, I'm not assuming that all of you are familiar with my message or what the 5 nice gal mistakes are, but they're over-giving, pleasing, accommodating, perfecting, and trying too hard, okay? So any or all of those things. And again, it's not your fault, right? The nice girl behaviors are an adaptation. Those bad dating experiences hooked you into the fear of not being good enough. And so you develop these nice gal strategies in order to try to secure love. And then what I'm suggesting to you, as the ego always does this, it creates a trap, right? It creates a, you know, I'll give a really good example from health. When we feel tired, our body will naturally crave sugar or caffeine to give it a boost, right? We want to, you know, pop in a carbohydrate of some kind, something, and, you know, in our culture, we can grab not so great, you know, donuts and caffeine, or, you know, like candy bars or sugar, you know, whatever kind of sugar or carbohydrate our body might really be wanting, our caffeine kick with all the above, and maybe even dairy to kind of soothe and calm ourselves emotionally. And so when our body is needing something, it will take that. And the same applies when we are starving nutritionally, but maybe not calorie-wise. where our body can sometimes fill itself with a lot of empty calories, but what we're really, really craving is that, the real nutrients, maybe the micronutrients that might be missing from our foods because of the way that it's grown or that it's processed. And so if you use this real life example in nutrition and with our body has these intense cravings. They're very, very, very hard to curb. And there's more studies coming out that's saying that the reason why we're overweight or obese, has a lot more to do with our nutrients and our stress levels, and the body's natural desire to create balance and to get the nourishment that it needs. Well, your nice girl habits are exactly the same thing. You're trying to get the nourishment that you need. We all have emotional needs that need to be filled, to be seen, to be loved, to be significant to somebody, to express ourselves, to give back, to have purpose and passion and growth in our lives, to be stimulated, to have variety, to have security. Those are all real needs that we have. And I don't want you to make your needs wrong or blame yourself for having these nice gal habits or the emotional reaction from them. Because it's just like your body saying, I'm tired, or I'm stressed, or I'm missing these micronutrients, and I'm trying desperately to get you to eat things so I can find these micronutrients. And so, I'm the nutrients for you, right? Like, part of that. And so it's not your fault. Let's just reclaim yourself and reclaim the trust that you used to have and get the nourishment that you need. So let's declare together, no more nice gal. We're going to fall in love with yourself, and we're going to get this worthy woman stuff right in. So my message to you is you are worth loving. So you need to stop giving yourself away to be loved, liked, or accepted. That is your inherent truth. Let's work from that premise today as we dig into the worthy stuff. So let's go. Woohoo. So let me take a breath here. Everyone has our filler words. Mine is so. I'll work on that. 7 love-worthy steps. Here they are. Confidence, self-worth, self-assured, authenticity, passion and purpose, trust and intuition, and femininity. And if you're a note taker, it does help sometimes we write things down. I grab those. I don't think I put them back in the slides again later. And I'm going to focus on the first 3 today. So remember that worthy, confident, and secure as my promise to my clients in terms of their results. I do give the other pillars as well. But we're really going to focus on those first 3 because those first 3, without them, and they're kind of tied together. They're almost like a circle that you can't have one without the other, and if you're missing a piece of the other one's really hard to get. And so these first 3, the confidence, the self-worth, and the self-assured, really are intrinsically linked together. And as you work one, you kind of build the other. And so it's a beautiful reciprocal relationship. And I like to think of it as like the infinity 8 sign. That's how those first 3 work. And so to be worthy, let's talk about the definition of worth. Worth is deserving of effort, attention, or respect because you are deemed valuable, dignified, and of high merit. I love that. And so deserving of it. So now the reason why we can feel unworthy is because we weren't treated as valuable. We weren't treated as dignified. We weren't treated as, someone else was seen as more than, therefore we were less than. Okay. So if worthiness is your inherent truth, that you are inherently worthy no matter what, you're not your past, you're not your mistakes, you're not what anyone has told you that you are or that you aren't. You are worthy. That's the truth of you. Being present in this life, being the person that you are meant to be here. You're important, you're significant, you're special, and you're deserving of all of those things. And so that's the energy of being worthy. And that's really ultimately the dream of love that you want, is that someone who looks at you through those eyes, through that lens of worth, through that lens of like, you're my BFF. I can't imagine a day without you. I value you so much. And no matter what we go through, that my sense of your specialness and your value never changes. Okay. And so having self-worth is just a sense that you see yourself as worthy and valuable. Okay. And that you have a favorable opinion of yourself. And so, confidence being the first pillar, this is a belief in yourself and in your abilities. And it's giving you a feeling that you are self-reliant, that you are, that you can self-soothe, that you feel an assurance or a self-assured within yourself. And what's really interesting, for those of you, I don't know if you're familiar with my work in unstoppable confidence, but we know that confidence is really more of a habit, that it's really more of an action, that it's very much like self-love. We don't ever reach a pillar where we feel like we love ourselves completely. Like, you can have a day where you think you reach the summit and you're standing on the top of the mountain of self-love going, oh, I finally love myself. Woohoo. Definitely we have those pillar moments or pinnacle moments, but then we have to like start at the bottom of the mountain again. We have to climb another mountain or another summit, or we have to go down the mountain and then come back up another way, or go and live in the valley for a little while. And so self-love, just like confidence, is like a muscle, that we build, that we fill up. And think of self-love like a bank account. You don't want to go into overdraft. You don't want to have a zero balance either. You want to build yourself up so that you have some wealth and some equity. And depending on what happens, day to day in your life, some money goes in, some money goes out, right? Some self-love leaks out from certain experiences, and then we find out the experiences that begin to build that up. And confidence is very much like that. We want to have a confidence bank account, just like a self-love bank account, and build it up so we can build this belief in ourselves. And here's the other interesting thing. Confidence, studies show, is area specific. Okay. So, I can look back in my life at this. I can look back at other clients, and multiple clients that I'm thinking of in my mind right now, who were like, I don't get it. I'm so, great at my work. I feel confident in my career. I have really great friendships, or, my family life is really bonded and connected. And I cannot figure out this man thing, this relationship thing. It's where I'm struggling the most. And I'm like, it's because confidence is area specific. So we can have built up a lot of confidence and capability, and belief in ourselves in our career, or in our social life, or with friendships, and not have that translate into love relationship. And that's why I always like to really let people know that confidence you must be also met with competence. Okay, you can't just be confident that you can find love, and confident that you're worth something, and confident that you can find your way through it. What will give you more confidence is actually being dating competent, right? Having the skills, knowing how to make a connection, knowing how to go on a date, knowing how to, build a relationship, knowing how to deal with uncertainty and all the triggers, nice girl triggers that might come up with you as you're in a relationship. And I touched on that before, but I just want to reiterate that again, okay? And so here's the other pillar, being self-assured. Self-assured is when you know that you can rely on you, that you trust to put yourself first, that you will accept only the best, and you will also give your best. And you can be confident in who you are and allow love into your heart. So being self-assured in a lot of ways, it requires that you have that confidence in who you are, that confidence that you can be loved, that confidence that you can allow love, that you can trust yourself. And where trust gets lost with nice girls is not only their trust in men, but their trust in themselves. Like, how come I didn't see it? How did I pick that guy? Oh my God, how did I not realize? Or I had that intuition and I didn't listen to it. Why didn't I listen to it? Or I should have known better. Or how could I be so naive or so trusting? Or I have no idea what happened here. I just know my heart's on the floor and I thought we were on the same page. That creates this mistrust in yourself, this mistrust in men, this mistrust in relationships. Like, should I have said this, or did I say that and then I upset him? Did I rock the boat? Would this happen? And the second guessing and the stuff that, we naturally do is our ego's trying to figure out, like, how can I stop pain and, create pleasure for myself and get the result I'm looking for? And we literally rack our brain trying to figure it out. Being self-assured is really knowing that you have all the skills and all the confidence to be able to use those skills and those tools in a relationship setting of any kind, or a date of any kind, that you can just relax. You can relax, let yourself be who you are. And you're also confident in the fact that there is no such thing as rejection. I do get my clients to that place where they just don't feel that anymore, where they really do realize that there is, Selective is the person across from them, that there's a lot that goes into finding a right match. And if it's not the right fit, it totally isn't personal. And they're able to just go, okay, it was really great to meet you. I learned so much about myself. I wish you the best. And I actually feel more encouraged because now I'm one step closer to having even more clarity, because knowing what I don't want gets me to what I do want. And by the way, that's part of the reframe, that I give people in terms of reframing rejection. So self-assured is really just in that place where you're not going to overgive to exhaustion. You're not going to try to please a man at the expense of yourself. That's part of trusting that you're going to put yourself first, your happiness first, your well-being first. You also realize that I don't need to accommodate and do everything that he wants to do, that I might upset him, and that by upsetting him, he'll get mad at me and then he won't like me anymore. I mean, that's sort of oversimplified, but that's sort of the gist of that one, the over-accommodating. Or I don't have to jump through hoops and be so impressive and show how great and accomplished I am, or be totally perfect and be on all the time as the perfect girlfriend who does everything right. Because if I just do everything right, then maybe, this won't end in heartache. That's another one. We feel so confident in ourselves. We trust ourselves. That's what it means to be self-assured. And the trying too hard, right? You don't have to jump through hoops and prove that you're worth loving if you feel self-assured and confident in who you are. Do you see how this all builds? Okay, cool. So yeah, you have such an abundance of confidence in your worth that you feel completely relaxed and feel secure and assured that love, respect, and value will be forthcoming from people, right? It sort of becomes a standard that you live by, like that's the way it is. And if that isn't happening, I'm not hanging out in that, because I put my happiness first, my well-being first. Now, dating assurance, or dating self, instead of self-assurance, it's dating assurance, really comes when you have confidence in the love that you share, that you trust the integrity and reliability of the man that you're with, and that not only do you believe in love's potential, but you know your worth as a worthy woman, and you're living from that. So you completely know that, unless a man is aligning with that, there's, I'm not even vibrating at that level. Like when I'm attracted, I always know when people begin to break their pattern, because the quality of men that they begin to attract at that point shifts radically. And often for a lot of people, that's like the third or fourth session in, that we're working together. And, right away they're saying, oh my gosh, where have all these men been? And I've been like, they've been in front of you the whole time, but you didn't see them because you walked in the room, pre-programmed and wired to find your pattern, to find that one guy who would tell you that you're crappy, that you're not good enough, that you need to do more and fix this and do this and perfect in that way, or please in this way. As long as that pattern is, that nice gal pattern is running, that's what we attract, that's what we vibrate to, that's the message that we're unconsciously and inadvertently sending out. But when we're wired as a worthy woman, who we attract and who we see literally shifts. So we know this in brain patterns. I'm kind of nerdy that way, but there's two different brains. There's a brain that sees the past and programs from the past and is based on fear. And there's the possibility brain, the cerebral cortex, the new brain, the visual brain. And we will literally see different things when we're wired into that versus our emotional brain that's wired into our fears and wired into memories of the past and being flooded with, all this emotion. And so once we move that out of the way, you're actually free to create from your possibility, and therefore create a whole new future for yourself that's not based on your past results. Pretty cool stuff. Okay. So as I said before, confidence is twofold, right? It's dating competence and it's confidence. So it's believing in yourself and having a habit of success, or in this case, a habit of worthiness. Okay. And how we do this is you have to act worthy to feel worthy. And if those of you haven't heard me speak before, that is one of my signature messages. So it is a truth that I began to understand, is that, as long as we are acting into our worth, even if we don't feel worthy yet, the more you act it, the more it happens. It's kind of like self-love that way. We might not feel like loving ourselves in a moment, but the act of self-love in itself shifts our emotional energy. We know this in psychology as well. And in case all coaching, coaches are change agents. If we don't understand the methodology or the psychology built into how we change, then, it's kind of useless. We have to understand how things work. So at least great coaches do that. So the really cool thing is that people think that they behave a certain way because of the way that they feel. But in reality, we feel the way we feel because we think and act in certain ways. So the minute that you begin to decide to feel different or think or behave different, you shift the pattern. And it doesn't matter which one you access. But what we know is that if you don't act into the feelings of unworthiness, and you don't act into your fear, and you don't act into the uncertainty like we've been talking about, those dating scenarios, we actually know how to disrupt that pattern and stop that. And then you automatically change then how you feel. And that feeling actually creates empowerment. Like, I'm not just a whim to this motivation or pull to act in my nice girl ways or act insecure on a date or whatever might be coming up. And then this really cool thing happens is that then you can also add even more to that as you begin to act into what you want to feel. So pretty cool stuff. I won't hammer on that too long. It can be nerdy that way. So, hey, if you don't have a pen or just in your mind, whatever kind of person you are, whether you want to visualize it in your mind or you want to write down a few notes, just put your hand over your heart, take a couple of deep breaths. Maybe take all the thoughts of everything I've been sharing, just anchor them down, breathe them down into your pelvis where they can be anchored and processed, knowing that whatever you need to take from it, the wisdom is already there. And as you breathe into your own heart and your own presence, what are your love-worthy actions or commitments? What are the ways that you might begin to act worthy in order to feel more worthy in your life? And just trust whatever comes to mind, whatever calls up from your intuition or your body, your knowing, your heart. And it's totally okay and normal if what you heard was to stop doing a certain thing or to start doing a certain thing. And if it is something that you're stopping, like, I'm not going to do this, what positive action or behavior or self-loving process would you put in there that would just bolster that commitment to no longer please in a certain way or no longer initiate in a certain way? I know if your mind is still busy and there's a lot, there can be a lot going on for us. Don't worry if nothing comes to you right now. I'm just really going to plant the seed for you that you're going to have that aha, this evening or in a dream or next morning by the time you wake up. Okay? You'll have that clarity of, this is the place in which I want a little more growth. This is a place where I can really show up into my worth. Okay. So confident, worthy, and secure. And again, security comes from that self-assuredness, and the worth comes from acting into our worth. And then as we act into our worth, we get more confident. And then we create more opportunities to create more competence so that we can be in the habit of living our worth. And as we live worthy, we begin to attract more experiences in our life that match that worthiness. Okay. So what doesn't work is we don't want to feed the wrong energy here. We want to feed the worthy woman energy, which we're going to dig into more, and that will maybe seed and help some of you to get some concrete examples of like, well, what does that look like? Where my worthy step look like? Don't worry, I won't leave you hanging. I'll give you some concrete stuff on that. Or we feed more of the nice girl trying hard, right? So here's what doesn't work. What doesn't work is believing you have to give more or do more in order to be loved. And that means trying hard to make a relationship work by being perfect or sweet or indispensable or accommodating or initiating or giving, fill it in, right? All of those things we do, that doesn't work. You already know that doesn't work. Otherwise, love would already be in your life. Or, if you are in a relationship, it would be a much higher quality relationship, one that actually filled your needs and helped you be seen and fully accepted and to belong, to feel relaxed and secure in that. Okay. So what does work is becoming, and really I say becoming, but you already are that woman. That's who you were before this stuff messed you up, okay? So it's really reclaiming that woman, the strong, confident, worthy woman who places her happiness first and only accepts the best. And so much so that she radiates a delicious, heart-centered feminine strength and poise that is irresistible to a man and really irresistible to everybody. It attracts money and love and support and career advancement and all kinds of opportunities her way, okay? So being too nice, we already know, makes sure that likelihood leads to being overlooked and taken for granted, used, abused, neglected, heartbroken, misled, all of that wonderful, not so great stuff. And being the worthy woman gets you over to the other side, okay? So I promised you earlier that I was going to talk about, how we kick nice to the curb and really attract the love you desire and get the support that you need to be that fully empowered, worthy woman in your life. And I guarantee that there's already things that you're doing right, but there'll be one little place that just trips you up over and over again. And it's that one place that's blocking your ability to find love. And I have a special opportunity for those of you who are on the call today. To really be able to say, you know what, no more nice gal. I'm going to go that next level in my love-worthy journey so that I can really look in the mirror every day and feel good about myself, embrace my body and my life, and also accelerate it, go the next level in every way, and actually feel like I'm not afraid and I'm not holding myself back. Okay. So nice gal rehab is I love that phrase. But it's like, think Rihanna. I always think Rihanna. We're going to want to go to rehab or whatever or the other girl says that, but there's a couple songs that say that. But, it's really about kicking Miss Nice to the curb. So I want to quickly share, and trust me, I'm only going to go for about 7 minutes here, sharing what's coming up in March, because it's coming up in March and starts on March 15th, about this opportunity and kind of a steal of an opportunity here today to really go the next level, and not just for you, but also for a friend. So I'll share that with you. And then we're going to go into the worthy woman so that by the time you leave this call, we should have a whole bunch of ideas about, or just one or two things that you're really, really committed to that are going to step you into that worthy woman, and then some Q&A, because I really want to help answer your questions today and support you any way I can. Okay. So what does it include? 5, not so much what it includes, but again, what are we supporting you to stop doing, which is to get rid of that uncontrollable compulsive action to act in nice girl ways. Like they always say in the process of change, what you start with is you unconsciously act a certain way and you don't know that you're doing it. But then you look back after and you go, why did I act that way? Like, what's going on? Or in the process, you get more aware and you watch yourself doing it as you're doing it, going, why am I acting this way? Like, what is this about? Well, there's an emotion and energy behind that nice girl stuff, right? And some of that is fear, some of that is uncertainty, some of that is lack of confidence, some of it is lack of competence. There's an energy behind that that makes us act in these nice girl ways that actually turn men off. So what it does is it takes good men and says, okay, there's drama here, or there's something going on with this girl, or she's insecure, or she's trying way too hard. Like, what's going on with her? She must not feel confident in herself. And so a nice guy will just kind of not be interested. He'll get turned off, and he'll want to look for a woman who's more secure and more holds herself as a highly prized, valued woman. And a not so nice guy will go, great, I can take advantage of this woman. And that's why nice girls get set up to have more heartbreak than everybody else. So instead, what we want to do is make a man's head turn because of your sassy, worthy ways, right? And the fact that he feels like he has to earn it, and he better also be in merit. He better be on the same level or higher to really offer you something great. And so part of Nice Girl Rehab is to have those training videos that really explain like what is going on, so that not only do you understand the why of it, but you understand how to get unhooked from it. Because the minute that old emotion of fear and stuff, remember that emotional brain stuff, is not driving you to act in too nice ways, guess what? You're free to be you. You're free to be worthy. You're free for your confidence and all the other great, amazing things about who you are shine through, because this nice girl stuff isn't in the way. And you're not all up in your head because so you can create a heart-to-heart connection with a man that makes him really curious and really like, what is with this woman? She makes me feel like nobody else makes me feel. What is that? That's the energy that we want to inspire in a man. And that in turn, we want to feel it with them as well. But hey, I'm all about creating a lot of personal support and really being present with you guys on this journey. This is not a hands removed program. This is me really invested in you guys, and you'll see that as I continue to share how it's set up. So we're going to do 5 live calls together, and I really do have a structure to that in terms of what I want to support you in, but I also really cater it. I'm very, very intuitive, and I meet people where they are, and I can read a group, and I'll know your stories, and I'll know how, what your struggles are. And so let's actually put the rubber to the road. Knowledge is great, but more than information, you have to transform how you feel and how you live and how you behave each and every day. So it's not enough to know that you're worth loving. You got to believe it. You got to feel it. You got to act naturally from that place. So we get all this other stuff out of the way, and then we give you the safety and the support and the actual inner transformation to let your light shine, and to let your self-worth come forward really strongly. So it's got to anchor into your body, into your psychology, to be a real change. So please know that that's the outcome that I want for you, is for it to be so anchored in your body and your reality that you know no other way of being except that way. Worthy, secure, self-assured, confident, your own brand of authentic femininity, or irresistible femininity, is that what you call it? Your authentic self, living purposefully, living passionately in your life, being you in all its glory, so that shines through, right? And you have no fear and no blocks to that, and no nice girl behaviors coming up in the way. Let's also anchor your learning. So for those of you who like to write, you like to journal, you like to put down your insights, your ahas, your breakthroughs, your deepest desires, often I find if I'm talking it out or if I'm writing it down, it becomes real. And intuitions and real ahas and insights will come through, and it will just deepen my experience that I'm having. And so your companion guide is really just like me holding your hand, as if I'm speaking directly to you. My clients always say they hear my voice in their head coming through, that thing that they need to hear, on a date or whatever, just soothing them and anchoring them and bringing them back into their strength and to their worth, and leading them to tell them the next right thing to do, right? That is really about honoring themselves. And so that's really what your companion guide is, to anchor your learning and your ahas and deepen that experience so that, it's a forever transformation and change. And then personal coaching with me, because I want to make sure that you succeed, that this isn't, first of all, that you're going through the whole program, that we have a high percentage of everybody. Like I want 99 to 100% of everybody, like from start to finish, going through it and coming out the other end and celebrating together as a community. And to really know that you're getting that support through the live calls, through the trainings, through the Facebook group and the other things that I'm going to talk about. And also that, there might be something that comes up beyond our Q&A in the group that you want to bring up with me privately. That's a deep wound or a pain. Maybe there's some healing that we need to do. And it's not going to, it can be supported through the group in the No More Night or the Nice Girl Rehab, but maybe it's something that's just really intimate and really close to your heart, or just a pressing question that you have. Well, that's your time with me to get my one-on-one support. Okay, so that's a live call between you and I. And then the Facebook group, right? This is where we can share inspiration and compassion, insights and breakthroughs and ahas, and we can celebrate together. This is where you can be vulnerable and safe, and you're with like-minded women, empathic, compassionate, heart-centered, spiritual, conscious, loving, really brilliant women who you can feel inspired by and who you'll be inspiring. And so, we're a really great little community, and you can buddy up and be a part of that as well. And then, as I mentioned, there's a Q&A call, right? So questions come up. I want you to be able to, let's really address some of the big questions that might be coming up throughout the program, so that we leave nothing unturned for you. You walk away really informed and empowered and having the tools and things that you need. And you can also email me, by the way, for support while the program is going on as well. So realize that there's multiple ways for you to get the help and support that you need. I'm so excited about this one, and let me just take a drink of water. This is we're gonna do an event. I'm gonna do a big event next year. I'm really excited. So this is in person, live. Let's have fun. Let's dance. Let's sing. Let's be silly. Let's laugh. Let's cry. Let's do some deep no more nice gal training. And this is stuff that goes. The content that I'm going to be giving here is going to go beyond what I share in the nice gal rehab. And so this is the next level in your dating and love and life, quite frankly. Plus, you get a 2-for-1 on this one. So you get to bring a friend. It's always good to include a friend. Feels like more fun. You can make a girls' getaway, but also a girls' getaway where there's growth and where there's healing and where there's support and where there's an empowered energy, that is like nothing else. So super fun. If you've been on them before, they're really great. So here's the promise is that I was going to have a bonus for you guys that is webinar only. And so if you enroll now, you can actually bring a friend for free. This is like a $2,000 value bonus, right? So forget all the other bonuses that are worth a ton. This is where you get to say, I'm making this commitment to be, to make this the year that I break through. And so whether love happens for me this year or not, I'm going to be ready. The worst feeling in my life, and I have a regret about somebody that was, my ideal man in absolutely every way. And that's not discrediting anything that happened after, right? But at the time, and even as I look back, I think, wow, that was one of the universe's gifts to me, where they were really dropping someone in front of me. And I know this isn't just my story. My clients have said this too, where really, there was a really high potential that person, and intuitively I felt it. And I felt when our paths began to shift in a different direction, and it meant that we would never come together. And it could have been him. It could have happened a lot sooner for me. It could have happened with a lot less heartache. I could have imagined an amazing life with this man, and I wasn't ready. I didn't do my healing work. My insecurities were there. I know more nice gal behaviors were there. I mean, you name it. I made some of the real mistakes, not just the nice girl mistakes, but the kind that, just made him look in a different direction, made him think this is not the woman who can give me the happiness that I want, or really be the kind of woman that I can fully trust, because she doesn't trust herself and because she's kind of all over the map here. It's terrible to have that kind of regret. And so I don't want you to have that. I know that if you're ready, then you can be just like Jo, right? She got herself ready. She healed her heart because she knew, and not saying that we didn't have a few calls where she was like, wow, I'm really afraid. I'm really afraid to open my heart fully. I'm really afraid to allow that next level of vulnerability with him. And, but we worked through it. And what was cool was he'd done a bigger chunk before he even showed up in her life. And so what was amazing for her was just that trust that she knew she could break through her fears. She could open her heart fully, that there wasn't anything holding her back from that love. And so it actually just deepened their heartfelt commitment to each other. And he looked at her with even more love than he had before, because she was so able to be authentic and vulnerable and present, heart-centered with him. And it's why, she has the love and happiness that she has right now. And you deserve that as well, right? So Gay Nice Gal Rehab goes from March 15th to April 26th. So it is like a week-by-week program, it's us working together over, 7 full weeks, and then, with a week in there to integrate and have our personal coaching time together and go that deeper level. So it's pretty exciting. So it's $1,997. And again, you have until, and I think I'm going to extend it because I didn't really tell you guys via email. So I know that there's a few people who are going to watch the replay and wouldn't get a chance. So I'm going to give you till midnight on Thursday. Let's go with that. I was going to say Wednesday, but I'm going to go with Thursday. So I'm doing this intuitively right now. But you have until Thursday to decide. And guess what? You can split that with a friend, or you can, I know I actually just bought a program about a month ago on Facebook training, and it was, you could bring a buddy or split it with them. And I just bought it and I gifted it to a friend that I really wanted to show some appreciation to. So maybe you know somebody too that, they're just like you, they're that nice gal, and they really, need this as well, and you could just gift that to them. So however you want to work it, but basically you won't see it on the website, and I'll give you that link that you can go to right now and or after to check it out. And it's thelovecoach.com/nicegalrehab, and find out all the details. And yeah, join in before Thursday at midnight. Now that's Mountain Standard Time. Okay, so it's in my time zone. And I'll make sure that I'll send you a confirmation. I'll send you all the deets about how you can invite your friend into the program. So it's a pretty sweet bonus. Okay. So I promised that I would go into the worthy woman. I want to stay on track and keep our time and make sure I have time for questions. So here is the worthy woman energy. Okay. We were talking before about creating self-trust that would create self-assurance and then therefore confidence. It's because a worthy woman is dedicated to making such self-loving choices for herself that promote her well-being and her happiness, that her trust, her worth, and her confidence grow. She respects herself so much that she expects respect from other people. A worthy woman never puts her safety or her self-esteem at risk to please or gain approval because she's self-approved. And a worthy woman, sorry, my throat's starting to go here, invites relationships into her life that promote self-esteem and fulfillment. A worthy woman invests in becoming her best self because she's committed to the effort and time that she knows that growth takes. She expects others to accept and appreciate her as she is without demanding change. And so what I mean by that is a nice girl tries to convince a man that she's worthy or tries to get a man to change or changes herself in order to be accepted and appreciated and loved. But a worthy woman says, no, that's just the way it is. And if you don't see my worth, then I'm not going to jump through hoops trying to convince you that I'm worth loving. You either see it or you don't. I feel confident enough and assured that I'm worthwhile, and it's okay if you don't see it. So she doesn't need to change another person's opinion, right? So I remember when I was younger, I cared more about what other people thought about me. And, if they thought ill of me, I really wanted to change their mind about it. And still it can be tempting, depending on how close the relationship is. But a worthy woman just says, I'm just sitting in the truth of who I am, and you see it or you don't see it. And in fact, whatever you see is really a mirror of yourself. And so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, a negative or a positive opinion. It doesn't change how I see myself or how I conduct myself. And that's a very, very empowered place to be. A worthy woman trusts her intuition, and she lets go of anyone who doesn't naturally appreciate her or might be holding her back in some way. Okay, so if her intuition says, this doesn't feel right, she doesn't need to know why. She just trusts it. She trusts herself so implicitly. And she also trusts that intuition is right. I've never heard anyone say, and I've certainly never felt this way. If I look back, I only regret the times I didn't listen to my intuition. I never regret the times that I did. And so maybe that's one of your worthy woman commitments, is that I'm just going to trust what my feelings tell me. I'm going to trust my deeper, heartfelt intuitions, because the times I didn't were very, very painful. Okay, so that might be one of yours. And she's strong and sassy and self-assured. So as she up-levels her life, she uplifts other people with her. And here's the real beauty of everything. Love changes absolutely everything. The love that you have for yourself and the worth that you have with yourself changes your life radically. It attracts new things to you. It attracts that special love relationship, but it also attracts opportunities. It up-levels your like what inspires you in your life, like the way that you want to express yourself in the world. And maybe that's through entrepreneurship, through a business, through, giving to other people. 98% of the people that I work with, they're teachers, they're nurses, they're doctors, they're psychologists, they're healers and helpers and facilitators and coaches. And they most nice girls I work with are so empathic. We're so giving, we're so loving, we're so compassionate. And we are the natural helpers and healers in the world. We want to help grow and uplift other people. And so as you uplift you uplift everybody else around you. You have more capability to do so. And the universe just floods you with more because you're accepting more of that energy in yourself. It's a pretty amazing feeling. So open yourself to even more, because kicking your nice girl habits and embracing your full worthy woman is going to offer you more than you can possibly imagine that you could have at this point. Okay. And that brings me to this other point, which is the worthy woman expresses herself authentically. She gives her gifts fully. She asks to have her needs met without walking on others or without being walked on. And by the way, she also learns competency, which is the art of feminine, what I like to call feminine emotional communication, something I teach my clients. And she knows how to actually express her needs in a way that a man feels inspired to meet them, feels inspired to fall in love with her more, feels inspired because he sees her heart and his heart opens. And then he gets out of his head and he gets to be in the feeling energy of his body, which is what men crave more than anything. That's why they need us. We're their match and their, the yin to the yang counterpart, because we open them to feeling. And so if we're in our head, guess what? We're thinking about where do we stand and what's going on. We're not in our feeling. We're not in our heart centered. We're not in that place. And when you're a worthy woman, you're poised in your energy of your body and your feeling and your sensation in your heart. That's what it means to be feminine. And it's finding your authentic version of that. So very cool. A worthy woman is no longer nice, but kind, compassionate, and poised. And so for those of you who haven't heard this term with me, I always say, stop being nice, but you can still be kind, right? Because when you're kind to you and you're kind to the other person. When you're nice to someone else and you're not so nice to yourself, because you pay a price for being nice. And in fact, niceness over time can lead to exhaustion and resentment and anger and bitterness and frustration and a lot of negative energy. But when you're kind, kindness gives back to you and it gives back to everybody else. It's in perfect harmony and balance in your life, and that's what a worthy woman acts from. And a worthy woman stays true to her values, her beliefs, and her standards. She has firm boundaries that protect her heart and her safety, which is what allows her to open up with a vulnerable, open heart. Is because her boundaries and her standards and her beliefs and her sense of her own value actually protect her from ever being hurt. And that's why I say I give people a heartache-free version to love. And it's not because I'm saying that you might never be disappointed again. That's not realistic. But you can stop being heartbroken. You can stop being devastated. You can stop thinking, must be something wrong with me. I'm unlovable or unworthy, or what's wrong with me that I'm still single, or no men like me, or no good men actually are attracted to me, or whatever story you're telling yourself because of those past experiences, which were very true at the time. But there's a bigger reality going on here, which is when you can allow yourself to be fully seen and you have this sense of value and worth in you, it will radiate to you what you've never attracted before, like what you can only imagine, what you think other women get that you can't ever get. It's pretty cool. Okay, here's what I know. You deserve a man who cherishes your feelings, who thoughtfully cares for you and desires to make you happy, who hears your needs and wants to fulfill them, who loves, adores, cherishes, respects, and appreciates you. And again, this is because he sees you for who you really are, not for what he can get from you, right? If you're an overgiver, nice girl, a man is liking you because of what you do for him or what you give him instead of who you really are. So I want you to have, and this is what you deserve, all that you desire, which is a life that you love with the love of your life. And so again, I'm just going to give you that link to the lovecoach.com, Nice Gal Rehab. And I'm going to come off screen share. There we go. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I feel like I have this weird, shiny forehead with the light coming down on me today. And I'm going to pop over to the chat area and say, hey, can you hear me? Let's see this box. I'll just put in any questions. Any questions? Okay, share. So we'll see how we can do with this whole chat thing. I know there's a few of you still on here. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and pop them in the chat box. And I'm going to take another little drink here. Sorry, I was doing 2 windows today to make sure I could see in case anything came up in the chat. And don't panic, because you can always pop me an email, love@thelovecoach.com, if any other questions come up, or comment right from my website. And the other piece is, there's my little vitamin water sponsorship, not literally. Okay, so one of the questions that came in as well is just reiterating about the bonus. So the bonus only lasts until Thursday, okay, at midnight Mountain Standard Time. So you have until then to grab your spot. And I want to actually give an incentive to those of you who might be in my US clients, and an incentive to my Canadian as well. My rates have all gone American this year, but lucky you guys, my web person couldn't look at the current rehab page, because I'll be a new one starting March with all the new branding. But so everything is still in Canadian prices. So yay! So my Canadians are going yay, because we don't want to pay the conversion, so you're getting another little extra bonus. And if you're US price, well then guess what? It's going to be a little bit less than the 1997, because by the time you convert the money over, it's in Canadian. You will save some money. Don't ask me how much, because I'm not great at that. Don't know what the conversion rate will be for the next 2 days, but it will give you a sense of that. Okay, great. Okay. I know I might not, someone asked me if I was going to keep doing my stuff on Google. I might not, because I like the other one where I can actually click and hear your voices, and, do trainings a little bit more that way. So yes, the new one will be, or if it is, I'm going to integrate like a different application, so I can really just like hear your voices live and interact with you, because to me, that's like so much more fun. And actually our trainings for Nice Gal Rehab, someone asked, that will be one-on-one, where I can unmute you, where we can talk, where we can share, and it will be much more intimate. Okay, so we'll all be able to really talk and connect that way. So I'm not sure which platform I'm going to use for that, but we'll definitely do it that way. All right, yeah, and so just really quickly again, that bonus is you get to bring a buddy. So you and a friend for $1997. Again, feel free to split it. Feel free to just pay for it yourself. Join in, and I'll give you all the deets and how you can just opt in your beautiful friend. And guess what? Then you have a buddy, someone who's with you, because I will encourage everyone to sort of buddy up and meet other people. But if you're a little bit more of my shy, nice gal, you might want just that trusted friend that's with you, or you just know somebody you think, wow, you know what? I need this. I know they need this. They're experiencing the same kind of heartache or struggle, and I don't want them to struggle. So we're going to do this together. Okay. So super, super nice that way. Yeah. Just saying, there was another one that came up in the email that somebody asked me. Okay. Yeah, I get questions all the time of like, why is a man emotionally unavailable, or why do I meet men who withdraw or disappear? Sometimes a guy doesn't, he's a perfectly nice guy, and you felt like you had a great date, and maybe he just doesn't know how to let you down, and some men just sort of like slunk away sometimes. And I just want to address that, because it's a question that came up that somebody asked this week. And it could be that, but sometimes it really is that you're dating an emotionally unavailable man who's sort of hooking you in, only giving you just a little bit, and that's really enticing you to sort of chase him and initiate and prove your worth to him. And so realize that nice girls are very susceptible to being sucked into a relationship with somebody where they are constantly chasing for that approval and that love and his presence and his time and his attention. It can be very, very seductive for any woman. A man who appears hard to get is being more appealing. But really it's just a psychological hook. But nice girls are more prone to it, right? Because we're just really trying to avoid having heartache again. We want a man desperately to show up for us because we've never experienced that. But what we do is we take on all the responsibility to keep showing up, hoping that he'll meet us in that place. And what we really need to be doing is leaning back, waiting for him to show up. And if he's not showing up, moving on. Okay. And part of being a worthy woman is just knowing how to navigate that. Is when you feel worthy, you just really won't be hooked into that psychologically. It won't interest you in any way. Okay. I love that question. Thank you. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to sign off with my traditional message, which is you're worth loving. And so whatever you wrote today or whatever comes up over the next day or so, that you're really just allowing your heart to show you what areas can shift for you, what can shift for you so that you can embrace your fully worthy woman. And if you want more support and you don't want to do it by yourself and figure it all out by yourself, how to break your nice gal habits, I'm happy to welcome you into Nice Gal Rehab so that we can do it together and as a community. And I can see you on the other side of it as my next success story and maybe the woman in the picture, right? That, like Joe, and we can celebrate that together because I know love is possible for you and the happiness that you want is possible for you. So I really look forward to that. Love you all. See you guys soon. Feel free to connect with me over the next few days if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see you in Nice Gal Rehab. Bye-bye.